Imagine you're on a plane, cruising comfortably at altitude. You glance out the window and think, this is pretty fast, but could we go even quicker? Well, that's exactly what engineers have been wrestling with for decades. Picture this, you're hurtling through the air at supersonic speeds, like a bullet train with wings, but instead of a loud boom, there's just a gentle whoosh. Sounds pretty amazing, right? That's the dream behind oblique wings, a radical concept that could change the game entirely. The thing is, traditional airplane wings are kind of like those flimsy paper airplanes you used to make in school. They were great for puttering around at slower speeds, but as you crank up the power and approach the speed of sound, they hit a wall. This wall is called the sound barrier. It's a real pain. It creates a ton of drag, which is like trying to push through molasses in the sky. This drag sucks up fuel like crazy, making supersonic travel way too expensive for everyday use. That sonic boom you hear, well, that's the leftover shockwave from the airplane trying to outrun its own sound. Not exactly ideal for peaceful journeys in overpopulated areas. So, when oblique wings entered the chat, it proved to stand as a revolutionary concept that offers to be a potential game changer. Imagine you're watching those grainy black and white films of the 1950s, the era of drive-in theaters and poodle skirts. Back then, airplanes were making headlines for a whole new reason. They were getting really fast. But see, there was a catch, a big old speed bump called the sound barrier. It messed with how airplanes flew, making them jittery and prone to falling apart if they pushed too hard. It was like trying to drive a car through a giant invisible wall of jello. Not exactly smooth sailing. So, engineers went back to the drawing board, scratching their heads and muttering things about subsonic and supersonic. It basically means slower than the speed of sound or faster than the speed of sound. One solution was the variable sweep wing, kind of like those fancy adjustable desks you see in offices these days. But guess what? It wasn't perfect. It added extra weight and made things a bit more complicated. Then, enter Robert Jones, a NASA engineer who wasn't afraid to think outside the box. In 1955, he came up with something truly radical, the oblique wing. An aeroplane where one wing looks like it's pointing straight ahead like a superhero, while the other wing is swept back like a sleek sports car. It might seem strange, but this design has the potential to revolutionize how we fly. So, unlike its fixed counterparts, an oblique wing is a single wing that pivots on a central axis. Now, here's the thing. Oblique wings boast two key advantages that have the potential to change air travel. The first lies in their transformative nature. By adjusting the wing's angle during flight, the aircraft can optimize its performance for both low and high speeds. At slower speeds, the wing aligns horizontally, similar to traditional design, maximizing lift for takeoff and landing. The wing cleverly rotates as the aircraft accelerates towards supersonic speeds, reducing drag and significantly improving fuel efficiency. The second advantage of oblique wings lies in their aerodynamic skills at high speeds. Oblique wings generate considerably lower drag at transonic and supersonic speeds compared to symmetrical wings. This translates to quieter, more fuel-efficient supersonic travel. If all goes well, a future where commercial flights can break the sound barrier without the disruptive sonic boom opens up new possibilities for faster global travel and quieter skies in overpopulated areas. Should be coming soon. The 70s were all about that oblique wing action. NASA was like a kid in a wind tunnel, obsessing over these crazy wings that angled all weirdly. They built these miniature airplanes, like the remote control kind you get at Hobby Shop, but way more high-tech, to see how they'd fly for real. The whole thing got Boeing and Lockheed, the big names in airplane building, all hyped up. Boeing even did some calculations and said planes with oblique wings could zoom along at Mach 1.2, which is way faster and way less gas-guzzling than anything else flying at the time. Plus, they'd be quiet as a mouse, even when breaking the sound barrier. That's pretty sweet, right? So, NASA, with all this wind tunnel data and feeling pretty confident, decided to go all in and build a real one. Enter the AD-1, the first airplane with an oblique wing ever flown by a human. It was a game changer. Kind of like the Wright brothers, but with a way more badass looking plane. The test flights were a success, proving that this whole oblique wing wasn't just some wacky dream, it actually worked. The only snag, the AD-1 wasn't quite fast enough to hit those super-duper supersonic speeds and show off the oblique wing's true potential, but hey, it was a first step. A giant leap for anyone who loves airplanes, on the path to who knows what kind of awesome flying machines. The love affair with oblique wings wasn't just a civilian thing. The Navy saw them as a potential game changer for their fighter jets, too. Imagine a jet that could launch itself off the runway like a slingshot and then hang out in the sky forever, like a patient owl perched on a branch, perfect for keeping an eye on suspicious activity or stalking out a bad guy's hideout for days on end. The Navy joined forces with NASA to build a prototype supersonic aircraft based on the legendary F-14 Tomcat, the one that stole the show in every Top Gun rewatch marathon. This jet would be decked out with those crazy angled wings and be a true revolution in aerial warfare. It was like everyone in the military was holding their breath, waiting for this new flying machine to rewrite the rulebook. But then, just like that perfectly planned vacation that gets cancelled because of a surprise work emergency, the project got shut down due to budget cuts. It was like the coolest new toy dangled in front of a kid, only to be snatched away before playtime even started. Talk about a major disappointment. However, there's always a silver lining, right? Maybe someday, when the budget gods are feeling more generous, they'd revisit this awesome idea. After all, the potential of oblique wings in military aviation is simply too promising to ignore forever. Who knows, maybe future fighter jets will zip through the skies with these innovative wings, a testament to the trailblazing work done back in the 70s. Even though those early attempts didn't quite take off, yes, pun intended, the allure of oblique wings hasn't dimmed one bit. The father of the concept, Robert Jones, was a true champion for this tech until the very end, and his passion is continuing to inspire a new generation of engineers. Experts are buzzing about the potential of oblique wings to completely transform air travel. Imagine zipping across continents in record time, burning way less fuel on the journey, and maybe even experiencing supersonic speeds that don't sound like a fighter jet breaking the sound barrier right outside your window. Sounds pretty sweet, right? Of course, there are still some kinks to iron out. Figuring out how to keep a plane stable when its wings are constantly adjusting their angle is no easy feat. It's kind of like trying to teach a cat to juggle. Tricky and potentially hilarious, but definitely not something you'd want to rely on for air travel. On top of that, the aviation industry is known for being a bit cautious. They like to stick with tried and true methods, which is understandable. After all, no one wants a plane falling out of the sky because someone decided to try out a wacky new wing design. But here's the thing, the potential benefits of oblique wings are simply too significant to ignore. We're talking about a complete game changer for air travel. The potential fuel savings and speed increases are massive, and the possibility of quieter supersonic flights could open up a whole new world of possibilities. Sure, it's a bit of a gamble to develop this technology, but sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from taking calculated risks. After all, if the Wright brothers had played it safe, we'd all still be grounded. The future of aviation is wide open, and oblique wings may just be the key to unlocking its full potential. Oblique wings represent a rewrite in the books of aircraft design, offering a path to overcome current limitations in speed and efficiency. They present a glimpse into a future with faster, quieter air travel, potentially revolutionizing both commercial and military aviation. While technical complexities and industry skepticism pose challenges, ongoing research keeps the dream alive. Oblique wings are the key that unlocks the next chapter in aviation history, propelling us towards a new chapter in the future of sky travel. What do you think about oblique wings? Should there be a fighter jet with them, or should that dream stay dead? Let us know in the comments below, and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.